Ma'am, there's a line. You need to wait like everyone else.
I don't have to listen to you. This is my country.
This has nothing to do with country. It's just respect.
You people always think you know better.
The day started like any other day in Maple Street Grill, a small restaurant in a busy American town. The smell of fries and grilled chicken filled the air. People stood in a long line, waiting to order food to take home. Some were tired after work, some were smiling, some were just hungry and quiet. A soft country song played from a small radio behind the counter. It felt calm, warm, and normal. Near the middle of the line stood a tall black man wearing a casual blue shirt and a dark baseball cap. His name was Marcus Hill. He held his phone in one hand and a folded paper menu in the other. Marcus looked relaxed but tired. It had been a long week. He was just there to get dinner for his wife and 2 kids. Nothing more, nothing special. He did not want trouble. He just wanted to go home. Before we go any further, let me pause for a second. If you enjoy real-life stories like this, stories with drama, truth, and justice, please like, subscribe, share, and hype this story with your friends. It really helps these stories reach more people, and it lets me know you want more. All right, let's get back to what happened that day. Behind Marcus were a few people chatting softly. In front of him were 2 college kids laughing about something on a phone. Everyone was waiting their turn. That is how lines work, or at least that is how they're supposed to work. Then the door opened hard. A woman walked in like she owned the place. Her name was Karen Whitmore. She was a white woman in her early 40s. She wore a bright red coat, large sunglasses, and had her phone pressed tight in her hand. Her heels clicked loudly on the floor as she looked around with an annoyed face. She sighed, loud enough for others to hear. Karen rolled her eyes when she saw the line. "I don't have time for this," she said out loud, though no one asked her anything. Instead of going to the back of the line, Karen walked straight toward the front. She squeezed past 2 people without saying, "Excuse me." Then she stopped right next to Marcus and tried to step in front of him. Marcus looked up, confused. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "there's a line. You need to wait like everyone else." Karen turned slowly. She looked Marcus up and down. Her face twisted into a hard smile. "Are you serious right now?" she snapped. "I'm just grabbing something quick." Marcus stayed calm. "So is everyone else," he said. "Please don't cut the line." People nearby started paying attention. The college kids stopped laughing. A man near the counter frowned. The room grew quieter. Karen crossed her arms. "I don't have to listen to you," she said. "This is my country. I can stand where I want." Marcus blinked. He could not believe what he just heard. "Ma'am," he said again, still calm, "this has nothing to do with country. It's just respect." That word, respect, made Karen angry. "You think you can tell me what to do," she shouted. "You people always think you know better." The air changed. You could feel it. The calm was gone. Marcus felt his chest tighten, but he stayed still. "I'm just asking you to wait your turn, that's all." Karen laughed, sharp and mean. "Huh, what or?" she said. "What are you going to do about it?" Marcus did not answer. He did not move. He did not touch her. He just stood there. That made Karen even angrier. "You're threatening me," she yelled suddenly. "Everyone heard that, right?" People looked at each other confused. No one heard a threat. "I'm calling the police," Karen said loudly, already tapping her phone. "This man is harassing me." Marcus sighed quietly. He shook his head once. "Do what you feel you need to do," he said. Karen smiled like she had won something. "Oh, I will," she said, "and when they get here, we'll see who's really in trouble." What Karen didn't know, what she could not imagine, was that the truth was already watching. High above them, a small red light blinked softly. The CCTV camera had been recording everything. Karen stood near the counter with her phone pressed to her ear. Her voice was high and shaky, but also loud, very loud. She wanted everyone to hear her. "Yes, hello? I'm at Maple Street Grill. There's a man here threatening me. I feel unsafe. Marcus closed his eyes for a second. He took a slow breath. He knew better than to react. He kept his hands where everyone could see them. He stood still, like a statue, even though his heart was beating fast. I'm just standing here, Marcus said calmly, not to Karen, but to the people around him. I haven't touched her. Karen turned toward him and pointed. See, she shouted into the phone. He's still talking to me. He won't leave me alone. A woman behind Marcus whispered, That's not true. A man closer to the door shook his head slowly, but Karen didn't care. She kept talking. He's aggressive, she said. I'm scared. Please send someone fast. The call ended. Karen lowered her phone and crossed her arms again. Her lips curled into a proud smile. Oh, they're on their way, she said. You should have stayed quiet. Marcus said nothing. He looked down at the floor. He thought about his kids waiting at home. He thought about his wife texting him earlier, asking what took so long. All he wanted was to leave with dinner and peace. The restaurant manager, Tom Reynolds, stepped out from behind the counter. Tom was a short man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had seen many arguments in his years running the place, but something about this one felt different. Ma'am, Tom said carefully, I've been watching. He hasn't done anything wrong. Karen snapped her head toward him. Are you serious? So now you're taking his side too? I'm taking the side of order, Tom replied. Everyone waits in line here. Karen laughed, loud and sharp again. Unbelievable. This is what this country has come to. Marcus looked up. Please don't do this, he said softly. Let's all just calm down. That was the wrong thing to say. Don't tell me to calm down, Karen screamed. You don't get to talk to me like that. Her voice echoed off the walls. A child near the door began to cry. The mother picked him up and moved farther away. Outside, faint sirens could now be heard in the distance. Karen's smile returned. She straightened her coat and fixed her hair using her phone screen like a mirror. She looked ready for a show. Marcus heard the sirens too. His face stayed calm, but his eyes changed. There was a deep tiredness in them. Not fear, something heavier. The doors opened, and 2 police officers walked in. Officer Daniel Brooks and Officer Evan Miller scanned the room. Their hands rested near their belts. The room went silent. Even the fryer in the kitchen seemed quieter. Karen rushed toward them. Thank God you're here, she said quickly. That man threatened me. He tried to block me and made me feel unsafe. Officer Brooks looked at Marcus. Sir, is that true? Marcus shook his head slowly. No, officer. I just told her there was a line. Karen gasped. He's lying. He's been aggressive since I walked in. Officer Miller looked around. Did anyone else see what happened? A few people raised their hands, but before anyone could speak, Karen cut in. They're probably scared to say anything, she said. Look at him. That was when something important happened. Officer Brooks looked closer at Marcus, really looked at him. The blue shirt, the cap, the calm stance, the way he held himself. His eyes widened just a little. Marcus? Officer Brooks said quietly. Marcus looked up. His mouth tightened into a small, tired smile. Hey, Dan. The room froze. Karen blinked. Wait, you know him? Officer Brooks nodded slowly. Yes, ma'am. This is Detective Marcus Hill. Karen laughed. That's not funny. He's not a cop. Marcus reached into his back pocket and pulled out his badge. He held it up calmly. I'm off duty, he said. I was just getting food for my family. The silence in the room was heavy, thick. You could almost touch it. Karen's face turned pale. But I called the police on him, she stammered. Officer Brooks nodded. Yes, you did. And that was when Officer Miller looked up toward the ceiling. Sir, he said to the manager, do you have CCTV footage? Tom swallowed and nodded. Yes, it records everything. Karen took a step back. For the first time since she walked in, she looked scared, and the truth was about to be played for everyone to see. Tom led the officers toward the small office behind the counter. The room was tight, and smelled like old coffee and paper. A small monitor sat on a metal desk, showing 4 black and white screens from different corners of the restaurant. Marcus stayed where he was. He did not move, he did not speak, he just waited. Karen stood near the wall, hugging her purse like it could protect her. Her foot tapped fast on the floor. Tap, tap, tap. Officer Miller pointed at the screen. "Let's rewind to when she walked in." Tom nodded and pressed a few buttons. The video rolled back. Everyone in the restaurant leaned forward. Some stood on their toes. Others held their breath. Even the kitchen staff peeked through the doorway. On the screen, Karen appeared, pushing through the door with force. Her body language was clear without sound. She looked angry from the start. Then the footage showed her skipping the line. No excuse me, no pause, just straight to the front. The video continued. Marcus turned toward her. His hands were open. His face was calm. Even without hearing his words, you could tell he was being polite. Karen's mouth moved fast. Her arms waved. She leaned in close to Marcus's face. People in the room began to murmur. "That's not what she said happened," someone whispered. The footage kept playing. Karen pointed at Marcus. She shouted. She pulled out her phone. Marcus stayed still. He never touched her, not once. Then came the moment that made the whole room gasp. The camera caught Karen saying the words clearly. Her lips shaped them slow and sharp. "You people always think you own everything." A deep silence filled the restaurant. Officer Brooks paused the video. Karen's voice from the screen still echoed in everyone's mind. Officer Miller turned to her. "Ma'am, do you want to explain that?" Karen opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her face was red now. Her eyes darted around the room, looking for someone, anyone, to save her. I didn't mean it like that," she finally said. Officer Brooks shook his head. "The camera doesn't lie." Tom cleared his throat. "There's audio, too." Karen's shoulders dropped. Tom hit play again. This time the sound filled the room. Karen's voice came through loud and clear, angry, mean, full of hate.
"This is my country. I can do whatever I want. You don't belong telling me what to do." A woman in the crowd covered her mouth. A man whispered, "That's disgusting." Marcus closed his eyes, not in pain, not in anger, just tired. Officer Miller stopped the video. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "you made a false police report. You also used racial insults." Karen shook her head fast. No, I was scared. I felt threatened." Officer Brooks looked at Marcus, then back at Karen. "He was off duty, buying food. You were never in danger." Karen's voice broke. "I didn't know he was a cop." Marcus opened his eyes and spoke for the first time in a while. "That shouldn't matter," he said softly. Those words hit harder than any shout. Officer Brooks nodded. "You're right." Karen's hands began to shake. "Can't we just forget this? I'll apologize." She turned toward Marcus. "I'm sorry, okay? Let's just move on." Marcus looked at her. His voice stayed calm. "Sorry doesn't erase what you said," he replied. Officer Miller stepped forward. "Ma'am, you are under arrest." Karen gasped. "For what?" "For filing a false report," Officer Miller said, "and for racial harassment." The cuffs clicked shut around her wrists. The sound was loud, final. Karen's head dropped. Tears rolled down her face, but no one rushed to comfort her. As she was led toward the door, she looked back at Marcus. "You ruined my life," she whispered. Marcus shook his head slowly. "No," he said, "you did." Outside, the door closed behind her. Inside, the restaurant felt lighter, like a storm had passed. Officer Brooks turned to Marcus. "You okay?" Marcus nodded. "Yeah, just hungry." A few people smiled. Someone even clapped softly. But the story wasn't over yet, because what happened next would shock everyone even more. The police car lights flashed red and blue through the restaurant windows. People inside watched as Karen was placed in the back seat. Her head was down. Her red coat no longer looked bright. It looked small. Inside, Officer Brooks stayed behind with Marcus and the manager. Officer Miller went outside to finish the paperwork. Tom let out a long breath. "I've never seen anything like that," he said. Marcus nodded. "Sadly, I have." Officer Brooks rested his hands on his belt. "Marcus, since this happened in public and was recorded, this is going to move fast." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "How fast?" "Fast enough," Brooks replied. "The footage is clear. No guessing, no stories, just truth." Outside, Karen sat in the car, crying and yelling at the same time. Her voice was muffled, but you could tell she was angry. Back inside, a woman who had been standing in line earlier walked up to Marcus. Her name was Linda Perez. "I just want to say thank you," Linda said softly, "for staying calm. My son saw everything. He learned something today." Marcus smiled gently. "I'm glad something good came of it." Another man stepped forward. "You handled that with class," he said. "Respect." Marcus nodded once. He didn't need praise. He just wanted to go home. Officer Miller came back in holding a clipboard. "Marcus, the department is going to review this. Since she made false claims and used racial language, the charges are serious." Tom looked surprised. "Serious? How?" Officer Miller looked up. "Hate-based verbal abuse, false emergency call, public disturbance." Linda's eyes widened. "What happens to her?" Officer Miller spoke calmly. "There will be court and a fine." Outside, Karen was taken to the station. 2 weeks passed. The video spread fast. Someone posted the CCTV footage online. It was everywhere. Phones, TVs, news channels. People watched it over and over. They saw the truth. They heard every word. Karen's face became known across the country. Her job placed her on leave, then they let her go. Friends stopped calling. Court day came quicker than she expected. The courtroom was quiet. Karen sat at the table, wearing a plain gray outfit. No red coat, no loud voice. Marcus sat across the room, calm and still. The judge played the video. No one spoke while it played. When it ended, the judge looked straight at Karen. "Your words were clear. Your actions were harmful." Karen tried to speak. "I was having a bad day." The judge raised a hand. "A bad day is not an excuse for hate." The room stayed silent. The judge continued. "You abused emergency services and targeted a man based on race." Karen's lawyer lowered his head. "I am ordering a fine of $75,000, the judge said firmly. "You will also complete mandatory community education." Karen gasped. "That's too much." The judge shook his head. "What you did was too much." The gavel hit. Bang. Marcus let out a slow breath. Not relief, closure. Outside the courthouse, a reporter asked him, "How do you feel?" Marcus thought for a moment. "I feel like the truth did its job." That night, Marcus finally brought dinner home. It was cold, but his kids didn't care. "Dad," his daughter asked, "did you catch a bad guy today?" Marcus smiled and hugged her. "No," he said, "I just stood in line." And still, one more thing remained, one last moment that would change how everyone remembered this day. The house was finally calm. Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his wife Tanya while their kids slept upstairs. The clock ticked softly on the wall. The food containers were empty now, pushed to the side. Tanya looked at Marcus with gentle eyes. "I saw the video," she said quietly. Marcus nodded. "I figured you would." She reached across the table and held his hand. "I'm proud of you." Marcus squeezed her hand back. "I was just tired. I didn't want trouble." "That's what makes it powerful," she said. "You didn't fight. You didn't yell. You just stood there."
Marcus leaned back in his chair. For the first time in days, he felt the weight lift off his chest. The next morning, Marcus went back to work. Same badge, same job. But something felt different. People nodded at him more. Some smiled. Some just looked at him with quiet respect. At the station, the chief called him into the office. "Sit down, Marcus," the chief said. Marcus sat. The chief folded his hands. "You handled that situation better than most people could. Off-duty, provoked, lied about." Marcus shrugged. "I did what I was trained to do."
The chief shook his head. You did more than that. He slid a paper across the desk. It was a letter. Community recognition, the chief said. The city wants to honor you for staying calm and showing restraint. Marcus looked at the paper, surprised. I didn't ask for this. I know. That's why you deserve it. Across town, Karen's life was very different. She sat alone in a small apartment. Boxes were stacked near the wall. She stared at her phone, scrolling through messages she never sent. She watched the video again, this time without anger, without excuses. She saw herself cutting the line. She heard her own words. She covered her face and cried. For the first time, there was no one else to blame. Weeks later, Marcus stood on a small stage in a park. Families sat on folding chairs. Kids ran around laughing. The mayor spoke briefly. This is what real strength looks like, he said. Marcus stepped forward. He didn't smile big. He just nodded. He took the microphone. I didn't do anything special. I just treated someone with respect, even when they didn't return it. People clapped, loud. Marcus looked out at the crowd. Black, white, young, old, all standing together. Later that evening, Marcus went back to Maple Street Grill. Same smell, same line. This time, someone tried to step ahead. Before Marcus could say a word, another customer spoke up. Hey, the man said, there's a line. Let's all wait our turn. The person stepped back, embarrassed. Marcus smiled to himself. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's just doing the right thing and letting the truth speak. And that day, the truth spoke loud enough for everyone to hear.